Hello, and today we're going to go over some X-Acto knife safety skills. So we're going to be looking at using a box cutter and this other saw tool. So you're going to get to use these tools when you're doing some cardboard construction. This is an X-Acto knife or a blade cutter. You'll notice that they've got these little etched lines. This really is great because you can break the blade and you can resharpen it so that it never gets too dull. When you're using a dull blade, you're more likely to push and pull really hard so that you end up potentially cutting yourself or hurting yourself. The sharp part of the blade is that shiny part at the bottom, so you always want to make sure that that's facing down. When you're using an X-Acto knife, you always want to make sure that you retract it before you put it down. So, if you think your blade is dull and it's not working, come and talk to a teacher and we can break that off and fix it up for you. One of the things you always want to consider is that you want to make sure that your space is clean and tidy, that you've got a self-healing cutting mat, so that's one of these blue mats, and that you move all of the things away that you're not using, and that you've got a ruler. You can either use a metal ruler or one of these acrylic rulers. This one's not going to work. So this one, it's too thin and you can gouge it with the X-Acto knife. So you always put the ruler on the part of the cardboard that you want to save. So if I want to cut this piece of cardboard and I've got something really important on this side, what I can do is make sure that the ruler covers that part of the cardboard. So I actually can move my work around so that it's in a good orientation. I'm going to put my ruler down over the part that I want to save, and I want to make sure my fingers are away from the edge and not in the way of my knife. And then I'm going to get my X-Acto knife and I'm going to do a nice firm even pressure. I'm not trying to cut all the way through all in one cut. I might actually need to go over it a couple of times. I want to keep my body away from my blade and my cut, so I'm kind of shifting back potentially. And I want to make sure that if I do extend my cut, I'm not going to bring that blade right into my body. I can also, if you notice, there's this really nice grid. So I can also use that to help me make sure I'm making some really great cuts. So what I'm doing now is I'm lining up this part of the cardboard with that line. And so then I know if I line up this part of the ruler on that grid and on that grid, that I'm now going to get a 90-degree cut right there, and it's going to be a beautiful cut. So again, I'm going to extend the blade. I'm going to make sure the sharp part's down. I'm not extending it too far because then this starts to get kind of wobbly. So about there, my fingers are away. I've got nice, firm, even pressure. I've got my fingers spread out so I can kind of spread that pressure out. My fingertips are away from that edge, and I'm going to kind of multiple cuts through. So in this case, I got it through kind of on one cut. Sometimes if the cardboard's thicker, I might have to go multiple times. As soon as I'm done, I'm clicking it back in. Now I can take this, line it up again, and I can use this grid now to help me do some really nice cuts. So click it out, and again, there we go. You want to remember to retract your blade every time before you put it down, and that you don't want to be talking with your knife kind of in your hand, moving that around. You can also cut more complicated shapes. So sometimes that's actually easier to have something that raises your piece of cardboard up off of the ground. And this way I can then kind of use more of a sawing action up and down. And I can move that cardboard as I'm cutting. And I just need to make sure that, so it's more of a sawing action as opposed to kind of the single cut. By doing it like that, that allows me to cut it more safely and with more accuracy. If I'm trying to do a tight curve on the cutting mat, I'm pushing and I'm pulling in such a way that I might end up getting my fingers in the way. So you can always use that trick to bring it up off of the table and do a bit more of a sawing action. The last tool that I'm going to show you is this saw, like this one. And this one, you use it more like a saw. So it's going to be a back and forth action, and your cardboard needs to be up off of the ground for it to work. So you need to make sure that your fingers are out of the way, and then when you're sawing, you go back and forth like this. There you go. So, okay, enjoy creating with cardboard.